Welcome to our newly founded support group, Raising Children Again. We are local graduate student clinicians from the Mississippi University for Women, and we are here to talk to you today about your K through second graders' language acquisition. My name is Anna Lauren Parker, and I am from Tupelo, Mississippi.
My name is Kelly Holloway, and I'm from Hamilton, Mississippi.
My name is Hannah McPherson, and I'm from Tremont, Mississippi.
Today we are going to answer each of these questions that you might have, and we'll leave time to answer additional questions that you might have at the end of today's presentation. Why is communication important? What can we expect our kindergarten through second graders to be doing academically? How can I help my grandchild develop language successfully? What are the signs of a communication disorder? Human beings are born to speak. They have an innate gift for figuring out the rules of the language used in their environment. But environment itself is also a significant factor. Children learn the specific variety of language, called dialect, that the important people around them speak. It is important for us to all realize that how you speak is a model for how your grandchildren will learn to speak. It is important to always make their home environment language rich. What is a language rich environment, you might ask? Language enrichment is the process whereby we help our children develop their receptive and expressive language skills. We are going to discuss specific ways to make your home environment one in which your grandchild thrives to learn. Communication is the groundwork for children's interactions with their family, with friends, and for academic readiness and success. If there happens to be a problem with the child's speech and language development, it is important that the problem is identified and addressed as soon as possible. There are better outcomes for children whose communication disorders are identified and treated as soon as possible. According to the American Speech and Hearing Association, or ASHA, 57% of parents do not realize that without early detection, treatment takes longer and becomes more expensive. What exactly is a communication disorder? There are 4 general types of communication disorders that can occur in children: speech sound disorders, language disorders, fluency disorders, and voice disorders. Today, we are going to focus on the most common communication disorder, language. What is a language disorder? A language disorder is impaired comprehension of spoken and or written language. Language disorders may include one facet or a combination of facets of language. The 3 facets we are going to focus on today are form, content, and use. Form is referred to as the structure of language. This includes the sounds that make up words, the small bits of words called morpheme that add meaning to words, such as an S on the end of the word to make it plural, and the grammatical structures and rules of sentences. Content refers to the meaning of the language overall, including the individual words that are used and the meaning created when these words are combined. Use refers to the purpose of communication, including why communication occurs. Most people have level communication skills across the areas of form, content, and use. They are able to capture meaning appropriately, meaning being content. They use correct rules of grammar, being form, and they use language for a variety of different purposes, being use. It allows their communication system to work effectively and efficiently, both to send and receive messages. For example, an individual might sound good in the structure of what he says, but not really convey meaning well, or they may not be communicating for the right reasons. Or another individual might have a certain message to convey, but do not have the grammatical skills or communication style that would support his message. But let's not get ahead of ourselves or get overwhelmed. That is what we as speech pathologists are here for. My associate Kelly is going to talk to you about some normal developing milestones that you are to look for in your K through second graders.
Developmental milestones for age 5. Your 5-year-old should be able to define objects by their use and tell what they are made of. For example, they should be able to tell you that a cup is something you drink out of, and that it is made of plastic or paper. Your 5-year-old should also know their address. This is very important for when they go to kindergarten. They should have a sentence length of 5 to 6 words. For example, I like to eat chicken. It is 5 words. They should also have a vocabulary of about 2,000 different words. And they should use speech sounds correctly, with the exceptions being y, z, j, s and z, and r. They should also know common opposites. Your 5-year-old will also understand the difference between same and different. For example, light and white are different. They should also be able to count 10 objects that are present. Your 5-year-old will also use future, present, and past tenses and stay with one activity for about 12 minutes. Developmental milestones for ages 6 to 7. Your 6 to 7-year-old should identify most sounds phonetically. They should form most sound letter associations, so they will be able to know that the letter B makes the B sound. They should also segment sounds into the smallest grammatical units. Your 6 to 7-year-old will also begin to use semantic and syntactic cues in writing and reading. And they will begin to write simple sentences with appropriate vocabulary and spelling for their age. Your 6 and 7-year-old will also use sentences in brief reports and creative short stories. They will also comprehend mathematical concepts such as few, many, all, and except. Now we are going to discuss your academic expectations for kindergarten. During kindergarten, your grandchild will get to read, to learn, and through play-based activities. Our pre-reading skills. Most kindergarten classrooms still use staples that 5-year-olds love, such as manipulatives, blocks, finger paints, puppets, and of course, loads of books. The idea is to encourage young children to continue to learn to play, but to expect them to tackle more complex academic skills in the process. Kindergartners are expected to develop pre-reading skills during the school year. Children start with letter recognition and associating sounds with certain letters. For example, your child will begin to learn that C makes the K and the S sound. Then they move on to guided reading, a method in which the teacher works with children in small groups and recognition of familiar sight words. For math, science, and other subjects, they will be woven into their curriculum. Most of the school day in kindergarten is focused on reading. However, their math and science and social studies are built around a theme such as dinosaurs or butterflies. Themes allow the children to learn about science while they build their reading skills. Math is also targeted in kindergarten. Kindergartners love to count, and many will master simple addition and subtraction of visible objects by the end of the school year. Time for fun but learning. Children at this age enjoy books featuring characters with whom they can relate to. It's important to give young children books that relate to their everyday world. A typical kindergarten class might start the day with children gathered in a circle to talk about aspects of daily life such as which day of the week it is, what the weather is like, and how many students are present. A kindergarten student's day will be filled with singing, playing games, rhyming, and other fun activities. Teachers and parents shouldn't rush to push kids into the world of textbooks and workbooks too soon. The lesson kindergartners learn through play will help build the strong foundation they need in years to come. Now we're going to talk about academic expectations in first grade. During first grade, your grandchild will learn to read and have regular homework. Critical thinking. Students in first grade like to talk about the stories they're reading before diving in. So, for example, they will talk about what's on the book's cover, what the title is, and what they think the book may be about. Children in this age group also like to guess what's coming next and how the story might end. Students also respond well to discussions about the type of story. Is it fiction? Is it an informational article? First graders also like to make up new endings for stories and share their opinions about what characters should have done. After reading a story, ask questions about that story. In first grade, teachers often assign short homework tasks to be completed with help from a parent. This helps your grandchild get used to a homework routine and ready for the day when homework becomes a more solitary behavior. Phonics and whole language. Most first graders will be taught to break down words by learning the sounds each letter and combination of letters make. This method, known as phonics, enables kids to figure out a word when there are no context clues. Students may also learn to look for clues in the illustrations and elsewhere in the passage to figure out unfamiliar words, a method called whole language. Many first graders will also be taught to recognize dozens of familiar words just by sight. Writing is also important as students learn to put together complete sentences and even full paragraphs, though their handwriting may be sloppy and spelling may be creative. Science, social studies, and recess. During math class, children learn symbols for addition and subtraction, and from there tackle a worksheet of problems in no time. Science lessons often center around nature and building observational skills, while social study units may focus on maps, calendars, and simple timelines. Lastly, we're going to talk about the academic expectations in second grade. During second grade, your grandchild will move from learning to read to reading to learn. Patterns and prediction. Math lessons are challenging and may include patterning, graphing, basic geometry, fractions, measurement, and two-digit addition and subtraction, with students learning to carry numbers. Students will get more experience with word problems and be expected to explain how or why they arrived at their answers. For language arts, children will be expected to read with expression and to predict the outcome of a story based on the text as well as pictures. They will learn to pull out the main ideas and supporting ideas. Reading with pride. Some teachers think of grade 2 as the year of the chapter book. Chapter books give children at this age an opportunity to feel pride in completing a whole book by themselves. Yet the books are accessible and age appropriate. Writing is a major component of grade 2. Teachers will be tougher when it comes to spelling and expect students to use capitalization and punctuation correctly. Many second grade teachers will introduce the writing process of brainstorming, writing, revising, and editing. In social study classes, teachers will bring current events into discussions and will emphasize maps as well as diversity among cultures. Now my colleague Hannah will talk to you about what to do if your child is not meeting these milestones.
Children are unique individuals. They look, think, act, and grow in different ways. This is part of what makes them so special. However, as caregivers, we want to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do in order to assist in their development. So I want to provide you with some ideas and techniques for you to use to ensure that your grandchild is getting adequate language exposure and is developing properly. We are going to begin with 4 main concepts that are important for enhancing your kindergartner, first, or second graders' language development. The first one is enhance language by exposing the child to new words and experiences. The second, listen to the child. The third, play learning games. And fourth, provide reasons and opportunities for the child to write. We would expect a kindergartner to be able to listen to and understand age-appropriate stories when read aloud. The child should even be able to retell a story or talk about an event. We want the child to learn and understand that spoken words are made up of sounds. Some fun things that you could do with your kindergartner would be identifying words in the story that rhyme, such as cat and hat. Something else would be talking about things that are alike and different, or you could identify upper and lowercase letters. Also, you could take turns reading the story by letting the child read a few of the pictures from memory. From the first grader, we can expect fluent or effortless reading of grade level material and an ability to sound out words. So let the child read to you. You could also have them create rhyming words from words in the story. If you have a second grader, let them read and then ask them questions about the story. You can even let them find the answers to the questions within the story, instead of pulling the answers from memory. Also, having them to retell a story in order of events is a great way for them to practice organizing their thoughts into a sequence. One more fun and easy tip: if you are baking together, let the child read the ingredients and instructions from the cookbook. Be sure to guide the child, because cookbooks can contain large, unfamiliar words. Plus, you don't want to mess up your cake. A great way to do this is through reading books together. Read a variety of books, read them often, and discuss the stories with your grandchild. There are plenty of books that will grab the child's attention and keep them turning the pages. It's good to choose books that contain adventure, words that can easily be sounded out, and also sight words. Sight words are words that can't be sounded out, and they are frequently used, according to grade, in books for reading learners. As the child becomes a better reader, he or she may feel more like a big kid by reading series books or chapter books. Here are some examples of books that your grandchild is sure to love. Many of them are interesting for both boys and girls. For your kindergartner, we are going on a bear hunt by Michael Rosen. Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss, a classic. For the first grader, Nate the Great by Marjorie Sharmat. The Stink series by Megan McDonald. Amelia Bedelia by Herman Parrish. And for your second grader, the Henry and Pudge series, as well as Mr. Putter and Tabby series by Cynthia Rylant. Books should be chosen according to the child's age or reading level, but they can also be matched to the child's interests and the current time of year or holiday, such as Christmas time or summertime. And because we know it is sometimes difficult to find books that are appropriate for the child's age, we have provided a website on your handout that will make choosing a book much easier. In school, we're probably all told at some time or another, you need to listen. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's true, we do have 2 ears and only 1 mouth, but for the child's language development, it is important that we make time for the child to talk and for us to listen. Always listen. Kids are not always organized, but let them tell their story anyway. Show your grandchild that what he or she has to say is important, and from that, you can build a relationship with them. Also, it is difficult for a child to wait for an opportunity to share important information with you. So, keep a constant, low-level openness for the child to know that he or she can talk to you without being shut off. From that, you can build your relationship. Can't dinner wait 10 more minutes for the child to tell you what happened at recess? Without even realizing it, the child is learning about life and may need your guidance. However, we understand that flexibility is not always available. It may be that you need to create a special time and place for listening. If you and your child are playing, or maybe right before bedtime, let the child have the floor. Let him or her ask questions or tell you about something. A fun idea for children in kindergarten to second grade is to make an appointment with them. Many children at this age will understand the concept, such as, "Sarah, may I make an appointment with you to talk about this after dinner? We'll meet on the porch and I'll bring cookies." By listening to your grandchildren, you're actually teaching them so many things. From you, they are learning what turn-taking and conversation should be like. They are learning what appropriate eye contact is, and they are practicing their developing skills of putting events into sequence to tell stories or to give instructions. Also, they are learning how to provide enough information for the listener to understand the message. After hearing the child out, ask questions about what was said. We have previously discussed some great opportunities for you or that you can provide for your grandchild, learning opportunities that you can provide for your grandchild, but we want to expand on that to make it as easy and as accessible as possible. So what does every child love to do? Play, of course. You can do things with the child such as playing games, whether it be a board game where the child must focus on rhyming words, things that are alike and different, spelling words, and taking turns, or a simple game of Simon Says, where the child must focus on his or her listening and direction-taking skills. There's always something to be learned within each experience. Also, with this age group, you want to provide plenty of reasons and opportunities for your child to write. Though children are writing quite a bit at school, a few nights a week you could have the child to write a few sentences in a journal about any topic the child likes, or you could provide a topic some nights. Another example would be letting the child write a letter to another member of the family for something like a birthday or special occasion. Also, with writing, you want to spark their creativity. If needed, you could provide some sort of incentive, such as allowing the child to stay up an extra 30 minutes on a weekend night. Plus, you and your grandchild could look back and see just how much he or she has learned over time. Now we're going to answer the question, what should I do if I suspect a problem in my grandchild's language development? If you do suspect a problem in your grandchild's language development, it is not too late to identify the problem and get help for your grandchild. Some key things to look for are issues in social interaction, difficulty following or understanding what you said, an excessive use of filler words such as thing or stuff, an inability to match sounds to letters, and also you may talk to your child's teacher to discuss grades and see what he or she has noticed. You will need to schedule an appointment for your grandchild to be evaluated by a speech-language pathologist. The speech-language pathologist will complete a hearing screening and a thorough evaluation of the child's speech and language. She will identify the problem areas, if any, and guide you on what steps you need to take in order to get the proper assistance for your grandchild. The school is an excellent resource, and there are professionals and programs available there to your grandchild if needed. Always remember to keep an eye on the child's development and don't be afraid to refer to a professional. We would like to thank you all for taking time out of your day to come to this meeting. We know that you care very much about your grandchildren and their development. We would like to help and make resources as accessible as possible. Our clinic hours are on the handout, and we have certified SLPs on hand 5 days a week. Please call if you have any questions, would like to make an appointment, or would like to receive literature.
Please note our reference page, and also just to leave you with a slight extra bit of information. ASHA.org, the American Speech Language Hearing Association, as you see on the last bullet on the bottom of the screen, is a very wonderful resource that you can reference anytime you have questions about speech or language milestones for your child. Thank you for your time.